Good evening. I'm Kabira. A little bit of a post-glow from my sunset bicycle ride. I wanted to actually make a shorter video and talk a little bit about anxiety, because for sure that's something that a lot of us have been experiencing, if not most of our lives. I would say that it's been amped up a bit, this past year. I'm not going to try to cover everything about anxiety, but just to give some tips if any of this resonates with you. So first of all, sometimes when we're anxious, a great thing to check in with is, am I grounded? And before I launch on a whole thing about grounding, because if you have been working with me, you know that my shtick is grounding. Grounding's a superpower. I actually have a playbook, a free book that I wrote about grounding, which email me and I am very happy to share it with you. A lot of people have found it helpful because it's a little bit some different tips that you may not have heard elsewhere and just some different angles. But to give you a little preview on it, one thing is that you want your grounding to be easy. So, if you're trying to force yourself to ground, that's a little bit of a sign in itself, because grounding is more like, I want to be here. And so you're not going to really invite yourself back in your body by doing something that you don't want to do. So, finding what's that easy path to get yourself back in. I even know for myself, I had this inordinate amount of energy today, and I was trying to sit in front of my computer, and usually writing comes very easily. And I just knew, I'm not so grounded. And I did a little qigong, a little meditation, a little yoga. 3 minutes each. But usually I just drop right in. And I was like, nope, I need to go outside. I need to have my body feeling the ground, moving, looking at something pretty. So, if your technique isn't working, find the thing that you enjoy that does work. And usually when we're feeling anxious, there could be a possibility that you're being unkind to yourself. I think we all have some pretty gnarly voices in our head. As we become aware of them, we can transform them. But, there can be some really, nasty voices that we've inherited and are just kind of part of the collective. And they come in from so many places. And so the more that you let them reside there, or even pay attention to them or listen to them and believe them, that's not going to help you out. If you have an asshole in your head all the time, where do you get to go? You're going to leave yourself. So just check in. Are you having a kind, supportive voice? And, I really don't think anyone has ever been too soft with themselves. We're pretty good at being hard on ourselves. So that can be another way that you're checking in. Am I being really hard on myself? The third thing that contributes to our anxiety is that, we're not listening to ourselves. So it's checking in with, what are your needs right now? Is there something that you're kind of suppressing or overriding and that you're forcing? You're kind of oh no, we have to do this, where it's your whole body's no, I don't want to do this. We all have a sweet little baby or, a couple little toddlers living inside of us, and they'll start speaking, if something doesn't feel right. So can you turn towards yourself in a receptive way and actually see okay, what's really going on? Are we just kind of driving our train in a really forced direction that actually isn't congruent to who we really are and what we really need? Another one is expectations that we have on ourselves. Whether you have an eating disorder, this would really resonate, but also if you don't have an eating disorder, this will probably resonate. Are you hard on yourself? For those of us who are hard on ourselves, even if you're oh yeah, I've gotten so much better, you may still be a little bit hard on yourself. And it may not be in every arena, but when we get stressed, all of our patterns, our default patterns come up, so it's suddenly you might be really hard on yourself. And Are you placing expectations on yourself to behave a certain way, feel a certain way, act a certain way that actually isn't how you're feeling? That's something that for all of us, when we're having a certain emotion, a lot of times we're kind of like, we're not supposed to be having this emotion right now. We don't want to be having this emotion right now. And a game changer is kind of like, yep, this is the wave that's happening, okay, I'm gonna hang with it. It will pass. I have clients of mine will either, if they're working through eating disorders, keep a food diary, but also like an emotional wave diary. And I also do that with people with smoking and with various other practices. And one of the feedback that I got was people realizing like, oh, I just have so many emotions. And when you really become aware of that, like it's quite fascinating to see how many thoughts and emotions we have just kind of running through us, and that they also change. I remember reading once, and I'm so sorry because I can't tell you where, but like scientists discovered that it takes only, if you don't actually try to suppress or analyze or stop, it takes about 4 minutes for an emotion to process through the body. So, it's to me, it's just like, I call myself a moody rainbow. Like, can you allow that? So that on the expectations side, that's where those of us who get a little bit anxious in social situations, really check in. Are you having expectations of how you expect other people to react? You might be highly judgmental about things about yourself and just expect them to be judgmental about that. You might already have some expectations about what's going to happen. And it's really helpful to just really check in, like, is this actually true, what I'm thinking? Is this like little streamlined thing really true? Or is this just my usual bullshit that I'm feeding myself? And it's helpful to see that, because all of us have some very ingrained beliefs and thoughts that are definitely not true. And it's actually fun to kind of be honest about them with other people and to notice, like, to see their reactions and to realize, like, oh, that's my special story, but it's not true. So check in with that, with how true is this? And, the biggest superpower for us is, can you let yourself be yourself? Can you let yourself be yourself? And with that, that means that you have softer expectations or even no expectations. When I teach energy work, part of what I teach is how are you soft? How are you neutral when you enter into someone's field? Because someone's field, whether they're conscious of it or not, their field is actually sensitive to whether someone's putting pressure or expectation on how that person should be, respond, feel, etc. And also someone's field can also pick up the pressure someone puts on themselves. So I'm always very fascinated by the subtle energetics in the relationship dynamics that we have both in ourselves and one another. Remember that expectations are false expectations appearing real. So fear, false expectations appearing real. And that's where fear becomes really fascinating, especially right now. We need a filter, we need discernment, with all the stuff that's being said that are opinions. And also, we are creating realities. What are you hooking into? What are you believing? It is really easy. It's really easy to create a scary reality that's not real. I remember when I was in Bali during the volcanic eruptions. All the people writing me, who were like hearing all the reports, and they're like, oh my God, are you okay? And, seeing this media with like these huge explosions that weren't happening in Bali, but they were saying it did. And, and watching my own, and I realized, like, wait a minute, none of this is based in reality. This is all because of hearsay of what other people are saying. And that even watching friends freak out, you know, where they were like suddenly taping everything down and like getting really prepared. And I'm not saying be an idiot. Like I lock my doors at night, you know, I've got my Ninja Raider on. But there's a very big difference between letting your fear take you over versus being grounded in reality and prepared. And I think right now that's something that really can help, because our anxiety can oftentimes be founded on things that aren't real. And I really, that's where like having some boundaries around what you allow yourself to take in, the environments that you're in, you know, like do not believe everyone else's opinions. Like this is, your superpower is your ability to know for yourself what's true. Your superpower is your ability to know for yourself what's true. And then my final note, one that actually was a game changer for me, because I basically was anxious my whole life, is can you make a commitment that you can take care of yourself? Can you make a commitment that you can handle life, that you are capable? I used to get anxious because it was just like this fear of, you know, if shit hits the fan, like I'm fucked, you know? And I would even have this before going into trainings. And then realizing like, no, I can handle what comes. And that, like knowing your own strength and resilience, and you might even have a story around not being strong. I certainly did. Knowing your strength and even putting boundaries around the part of you that's like, I can't do it, that wants to geek out. I mean, if we go into the shadow work a little bit, there's a part of us where, you know, we can get rewarded by freaking out, by feeling incapable. It's like other people will take care of us, people will give us things, and you know, there is, I mean, a lot of us have a story around, you know, why we may not fully own our power. So you need, I'm really curious, can you tap into that part of you that's capable? Right now, you need that. Right now, you need that. And I'm sending you lots of love from Bali. Bye.